Rocky hops in Duke's arms, right? Like a ballerina. Hops in his arms and does straight up Jennifer Grey Dirty Dancing. I've had the time of my life, and I never felt this way before. Corny as shit. You gotta admit, I don't care how much you love that director's cut. That was corny as shit. Alright, y'all. I watched Rocky IV, Rocky vs. Drago, the director's cut, 3 times now. Just got done watching it the 3rd time. Had to get in front of the camera and talk to you all about it. So this is a follow-up to the video that I did yesterday, where I shit on the director's cut. And y'all, I've been in a funk since I dropped that video. And the reason why is that, like I said, I love Sly. You know what I mean? I love Sly. I love his work. And I felt even worse when I watched the documentary. Please watch the documentary. To me, I think the documentary was better than the damn movie itself. Well, the director's cut of the movie. Sly did a documentary of his process of editing the movie and putting it together the way he wanted it to. So any aspiring filmmakers, watch that shit. You're going to get a free education, crash course education, say that quick 3 times real fast, on filmmaking, all right? I went to film school myself, and I wish I had this video. I wish I had that documentary years ago when I was at film school, you know, but it's not too late. But y'all, when I watched that documentary, just Sly's passion for the project, and even the way he broke down why he was doing the way he did it, it made a lot of sense. It did, but it's like, just because you have that thought or that idea does not mean it's gonna work. All right, so okay, question you asked was, okay, Rashad, okay, the name of the video is 3rd time around watching Rocky for the director's cut. What do you think now? And I will say that I don't dislike it as much as I did the first time I watched it. You know, like, there was people in the comments, you know, constructive criticism type stuff. I'm not taking it as attack, you know. They said, well, Rashad, just watch it a few more times. You're so used to the original one. Like, most of us Rocky fans know Rocky IV like the back of our hand. I can recite that movie verbatim, you know what I mean? So as I'm watching this different cut of the movie, like, I know the flow, I know the pace, I know what lines are going to come in, even the moments where the music cues in, where the punch happens, you know what I'm saying? I know that whole entire movie, okay? I used to wrestle back in the day, and as I'm wrestling my opponent, I would play War inside my head and seeing Rocky and Drago fight each other. That's how well I know this movie. So it was jarring to watch a different version of it with different cuts, and where they added some things and took some things away. Even with the dialogue, I made a mistake of saying that Apollo didn't give the line about, you know, we're the Warriors, okay? And somebody called me out on that. And listen, I don't mind being called out. I was wrong. Yeah, that part was in the movie. But that scene was so butchered, where I know what Rocky's going to say. I know what Apollo's going to come back with. And it cut, you know, so it just kept cutting. I'm like, oh, it's driving me crazy. So I totally forgot that Apollo didn't say the line. And also the moment where Rocky and Apollo had right before Apollo fights Drago, I thought was real crucial, because it's their last moment together, one-on-one, before Apollo dies. You know what I'm saying? And I think that really added to the emotional impact of Apollo getting killed, was that him and Rocky did have share a moment together where they had a laugh. You know, Rocky's still trying to talk him out of it. And Apollo, you know, he hits him with the, you know, maybe Stallion, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about right now, but you will when it's over. They showed that after the fact when Rocky's fighting Drago. And come on, the line with the snails, you know, when Apollo says he feels like he can eat nails, and Rocky's like, yeah, no, I never tried those, you know, snails. I see them in the yard sometimes, but I didn't say anything about snails. I said nails. Nail, Stallion. You know, just little moments like that make all the difference. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, who am I to criticize Sly and what he does? This is his movie. This is his vision. I'm just a little YouTuber with a couple of thousands of subscribers, and thank you all for watching and subscribing. Like, I'm a nobody compared to Sly. I'm not even a motherfucking cheese and a cracker, okay? But just as a fan, okay? I'm just speaking as a fan, all right? I still prefer the theatrical version over the director's cut, robot and all, you know? And I understand that he had to cut the son out of the movie because when the son and the friends were watching the fight, the robot's in the background. I understand they had to cut that, but also, like I said, with Rocky and Apollo having that last moment, like the Last Supper before Apollo dies, that scene, I mean, just his son watching the fight and just being proud of his father, to me, just told more of a story. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know, that's just me. And even after the fight's over with, Rocky's like, I just want to say one thing to my son at home. Merry Christmas, kid. I love you. I used to get choked up in that part, man. Then he looks back at the screen like, I love you, Dad. Like, he had to cut that out. Okay, and speaking of telling the story, let's get to the fights now. Okay, let's get to the fights. The fight with Apollo, I think in the director's cut, worked a little bit better just because it shows Apollo being more, I don't want to say more aggressive. What's the word I'm looking for? More competitive. You know what I mean? Like the first time around, it was just straight up Drago just whipping his ass. You know what I mean? It was just straight up, it was a one-sided fight. But you got to think, he's fighting arguably the greatest heavyweight champion in this universe, Apollo Creed. And so this time around, Apollo does have, he's more competitive this time. He's more aggressive this time. And he looks to be giving Drago just a little bit of problems. All right. But I want to ask you all the question here. All right. Because I asked this on Facebook last night when I was drinking. If Apollo had a full training camp, right? A full fucking training camp, Drago's off the roids. USADA has to test him. Drago has to be clean. And they fight. Would Drago still have dominated? Could Apollo have beat him with being trained by Rocky and Duke? Could Apollo have won? I asked you all that question. Please comment below. I want to know what y'all think. So yeah, the fight with Apollo I think worked better this time. But, there's a but. The cutaways kept distracting me when they kept cutting away to his wife. Okay, now mind you, him and his wife have no scenes together. And it just seemed awkward to me. Like every now and then they would cut to her and she's all like, or, it just didn't work for me. Just show it that one time when Apollo looks back and she looks at him with tears in her eyes. That's all we needed. The fact that they kept cutting away to her kept throwing me off, all right? So other than that, the Apollo fight did work better. All the scenes with Apollo I thought worked in the director's cut, okay? I just wish they would have kept that where they had that last moment together. And the stuff with Adrian I thought was better this time around because in the original version, we see Rocky bringing the cake and he puts that little snake bracelet thing around her arm and they have that little corny ass moment. You know what I'm saying? I enjoyed the scenes with him and Adrian more here than I did in that original one. In a way, I wish I can just kind of make my own cut where I can just take what I loved from both films and put my own Frankenstein monster together. But this is Sly's vision. So that's why I was kind of in a funk because I'm like, I felt bad about shitting on my idol's work. You know what I'm saying? Especially after watching that documentary. But I gotta call it how I see it, y'all. This is what I do. You know what I'm saying? I critique things. But at the same time, I am very passionate. I love the Rocky franchise and I love Rocky 4. I still love Rocky 4. But I just had to call it how I see it, y'all. That's not being a hater. That's just calling it how I see it. And I noticed that the fans are divided because, I'm thinking when I saw this and I talked to a couple of people after the movie, I'm like, okay, I think universally this is going to get panned by the fans of Rocky 4. But nah, there's people that actually dug it more than the original cut. And there's some that say, well, I still prefer the original cut, but I did like this one. But there's people that straight up hated this one. So yeah, the fans are divided, but it's funny because we're all fans of the franchise. We all love Rocky 4, but it's divided on, okay, is the director's cut better than the theatrical cut? Now, I'm just going to end it with this, y'all. I've rambled on long enough. I'm just going to leave with this. Bottom line, end of the day, I watched this 3 times. The director's cut, I watched it 3 times, and I still prefer the original version, okay? The fight, okay, I forgot to talk about this. The final fight between Rocky and Drago. This time around, it was more realistic. Okay, the fights are more realistic, even the sound effects. It doesn't sound any more like chains hitting walls and shit and shotgun blasts going off. They sound like actual punches, kind of like the Creed movies. So the fight's a little bit more realistic, even though there's like almost no defense. But the fight's are a little bit more realistic. But I think the original cut told a better story in that last fight with Rocky and Drago. Because this time around, first round, even though Drago dominated, but Rocky was fighting back with him. He was hanging with him. Rocky was hanging with Drago. The first fight, the first time around, right? Drago dominated that entire first round, where after that first round was over with, as a fan, you're like, there's no way Rocky's going to beat this guy. I don't care if the movie is called Rocky. How the fuck is he going to beat this guy? Because Drago handed his ass to him first time around. You know what I'm saying? That first round. And then second round, same thing. Drago was beating his ass, even took him, and they cut this out of the director's cut. Drago even picks him up and throws him, like just tosses him. And Rocky falls. Boom. Adrian gets up. Rocky, dominated him. So as a fan, you're watching like, man, there's no fucking way. Like, Clubber Lang, Apollo Creed, nobody gave Rocky a beating like this. And when he finally came out and, wow, cracked his ass and cut him, that told more of a story. That's almost like, that's like WWF 101. You know what I'm saying? You're like, how is it? Oh, shit, Rocky cut him. So this time around when Rocky cut him, it didn't have the same punch as it did, no pun intended, as the first time around. Okay, first time around when Rocky cut him, it's like, oh, shit, yes, he can be cut. And even Drago's like, fuck, I could be hurt. You know, the first ever super soldier is like, you know, who's dominant, indestructible. Holy shit, I could be fucking hurt. And to me, it just told a better story the first time around as compared to this time around. But other than that, the fight was fine. You know, I didn't like the fact that it ended with Eye of the Tiger. Okay, Eye of the Tiger belongs to Rocky 3, my personal favorite Rocky. Okay, stick with Hearts on Fire. And I want to say one last thing before I wrap up, y'all. I promise this is it. I feel like a pastor by the wrap-up church. And he keeps going on and on. But I want to say this. And even if you love the director's cut, you have to admit, this shit looks silly. After Rocky wins, right, he just fights the fight of his life. Him and Drago are like, gotta be beyond exhaustion, okay? The fight ends. Rocky knocks out Drago. The ref doesn't even count. That doesn't even give us time to marinate and be like, we gotta take a breath from what we just saw. Do the count. Boom. Over with. No. Straight up, Rocky knocks him down. Ref looks. Fight's over. Rocky hops in Duke's arms, right? Like a ballerina. Hops in his arms and does straight up Jennifer Grey Dirty Dancing. I've had the time of my life and I never felt this way before. Corny as shit. You gotta admit, I don't care how much you love that director's cut. That was corny as shit. How the hell you got the strength to jump up and down like that after you just fought 15 rounds, got stuff broken in you that's never been fixed according to Creed 2, and you hop in Duke's arms and do Dirty Dancing? I'm gonna say it again. This is Sly's vision. This is Sly's movie. He does what he want to do with it. But I just feel like if you put something out there and it's loved, don't fuck with it. You know, so as a content creator, I understand, you know, you always like, especially as a filmmaker, you always, no matter how perfect you think your movie is or how perfect people think your movie is, as a filmmaker, you're always going to go and change something. I guarantee if Martin Scorsese had a chance to recut Goodfellas, he would. As perfect as that movie is, if Scorsese had a chance to recut Goodfellas, I guarantee he will recut it and make it damn near a different movie because he saw things in it that he felt needed improvement. It's like, no, don't fuck with it. That's it, and that's all. So the bottom line is that I prefer the theatrical cut over the director's cut. But you listen, to anybody that likes the director's cut, yo, more power to you. At the end of the day, yo, it's all Rocky. We all love Rocky. That's what we have in common, whether you, which version you prefer. Bottom line is Rocky 4 is just a special fucking film. Lightning in a bottle. Special to me to this day. And that's it, and that's all. If you like and dig this content, hit that like and subscribe, notification bell in the corner. This is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.